Hello and welcome back to No Bullshit. Today we're talking about the World Cup, a soccer tournament that Europeans are currently having this summer in Russia. Soccer is a big deal for them, so I guess we should entertain it for a bit here and see what all the fuss is about this year. Needless to say though, immediately upon looking into the World Cup, loads of social justice warrior politics and moments start popping up immediately. Particularly, I found a story about women fans which I think you'll find interesting. But first, let's talk about a supposed demographic problem with the male players. Then we'll get to the lady fans later. And well, I noticed something pretty troubling popping up about the current World Cup standings. As teams are being eliminated, some of the fans have been making some pretty interesting comments about the remaining countries. It's mostly white countries that are still playing in the semifinals. Now, while a normal person might not think much about this, other sports and competitions have their top demographics too. Basketball, for example, is mostly dominated by black Americans. Canadians are usually the best people at hockey, and sumo wrestlers are usually Japanese. Things like that, but apparently in 2018, current year, when white people dominate a sport, it's wrong, racist, and offensive. At least to the leftists, SJWs, and other bigots out there on Twitter and online. Just another example of the rampant and open anti-white racism going on in the world today. But since they keep dishing it out, I guess I gotta keep batting it down and exposing these lefty losers to you guys. For our enjoyment, of course. Let's start with a few tweets I found on a Reddit post that brought this topic up to me a couple days ago. The first one says, "How the hell are only white countries left in the World Cup? Is FIFA racist or what?" Well, I guess I'm going to be forced to go with the or what option here, because FIFA is certainly not being racist about this World Cup tournament here. No one's being racist except people like this on Twitter. In fact, she's the one calling out whites for no goddamn reason, and she's even emboldened enough in her anti-white hatred that she's posting it on Twitter too. Nice. And do I really have to explain why it's a majority of white countries that are still left in the World Cup? I know you guys probably know, but I guess I'll explain it for argument's sake. And well, it's not because of racism or foul play or anything nefarious like that. Believe it or not, those countries still in the tournament are winning their games and they have better players. That's why they're still in the tournament. It's because the white countries are the best at soccer, apparently, at least this year. And I'm pretty sure if the countries were any other color, this would have never been a problem. But again, the anti-white racism out there today is getting pretty ridiculous. This next tweet even proves my last point too. It reads, "This World Cup was supposed to be for the POCs, but here comes the white man." You see, these same people complaining would be totally fine if people of color dominated the sport. They are encouraging it and hoping for it even. Anything that gets less white people in places of prominence, I guess. And I can't believe people like this think they can just get away with this double standard too. These are the same kinds of people who really believe you can't be racist to white people. I know that sounds a little crazy still and out there, especially to us normies, but believe me, I live in Los Angeles and I've met a number of people who have openly said you can't be racist to whites. It happens. It's common knowledge to leftists and in SJW circles, even though it's completely wrong, racist, and makes the believers of it total bigots. The last tweet here simply says, "This World Cup is too white." And I have to say again, I completely disagree. The World Cup is just as white as it's supposed to be, just like how American basketball is just as black as it's supposed to be. These sports don't have race quotas or anything. This isn't affirmative action like in college admissions, which is also wrong, but that's a whole other video. No, what we got here is a competitive sport in which only the best players make it, and the best teams go on to win their matches. And that moves them up in these tournaments. These things aren't based on race or diversity, or the fifis of left-wing snowflakes. Hell no. Soccer success is based on talent, skill, and the ability to win matches under pressure. This is how most successful sports go, and I don't think it would work any other way. I mean, you could force diversity, you could implement affirmative action into the World Cup if you wanted, but then other bad things would happen, and it would make things much worse. Much worse than SJWs getting butthurt. For example, with affirmative action in soccer, that means the best of the best players will not in fact rise to the top. Since it appears white countries dominate this year, let's say FIFA forces on some black and brown countries just cuz. Out of nowhere. Well, that would mean not the best teams are competing actually, and I'm pretty sure the fans will notice and stop watching. An SJW World Cup would fail really quickly, but we're almost there already. And implementing some sort of affirmative action into soccer, all that move would do is please a few radical leftists on Twitter, who probably never watched or supported the World Cup much to begin with. Let's be real. Actual soccer fans don't give a shit about this. And believe it or not, many soccer fans are, I know they call it football there, but I refuse, but many footballers, they happen to be white Europeans themselves. But what makes this the World Cup is too white claim even funnier is when you look at the actual players on the field during the matches. I haven't watched any yet because Americans don't care about soccer, but I understand it's a big deal for the international community. With that said, let's look at this pic of the team from England, who are still in the semifinals as of making this video. And well, I think you might already notice this, but England's squad is pretty damn diverse. Much more colorful colorful than England actually is, I must say. And it's also funny because the leftist haters must not be watching these matches at all. England's not the only team that's super diverse like this, from a white country. And if the leftists watch these games, they would see that these teams are all very diverse and there's mixed players out there all over the place. It's not mostly white at all, but it really just seems these haters, they saw the teams that are remaining and noticed they were from white countries, so they decided to be anti-white assholes and racist on Twitter about it, which makes them look like even bigger bigots. I did find it funny though that in the match going on currently, as I write this, England battles Croatia, and well, I found it pretty hilarious that the English team was wearing all white. I don't think they were intentionally trying to trigger the SJWs, but I'm sure at least a few of them were crying about this, saying, wah wah wah, even their uniforms are too white too. Their shoes and even the balls are white. Oh my god. So you know something like this will really trigger those out of control leftists who are insecure about the success of whites. With that said, here's another example of an evil white person wearing evil white clothes in a video, in one I found called FIFA World Cup Fan Signs on Her White Clothes. Check this out. Oh, hello. This is Jenny Smith and she's doing the unthinkable. Not only is she attractive and white, which already triggers the SJWs, but also she's having people at the World Cup sign her white clothes. What a monster. Oh, the humanity. God save us all. Gotta respect this base brown man picking that spot to sign on, right on that hot piece of ace. He even had the balls to put his left hand up right on her butt cheek. Well done, my dude. What a sport this girl is. This chick is pretty badass if you ask me, but I hate to say it, and I know you think I was kidding about this, but unfortunately, attractive women aren't exactly welcome at the World Cup anymore. You see, this brings me to our next big SJW move that's really making this World Cup rather cringy this year. A story from ESPN has more details. It's called FIFA urges World Cup broadcasters to show fewer shots of attractive women. That's right, now attractive women have become problematic. Let's find out why. FIFA wants fewer images of attractive women in World Cup stadiums, shown on future broadcasts, with sexism being a bigger problem than racism in Russia, according to anti-discrimination experts advising FIFA. FIFA diversity chief Federico Adichie says football's world body will talk with national broadcasters and its own TV production team. Okay, wait a second. Why the hell are there anti-discrimination experts advising FIFA anyway? They're running a soccer tournament, not an SJW playground. And FIFA even has a diversity chief? This World Cup shit is way more fucked with SJW politics than I thought. The subject arose Wednesday in a review of FIFA's anti-discrimination program in Russia. Monitors identified sexist incidents including fans harassing female broadcasters as having been a bigger problem so far than acts of racism. Adichie says FIFA's stance is a normal evolution and broadcasts in Russia have already improved from the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. He says FIFA has already intervened with broadcasters on a case-by-case basis, when some cases arose and they were pretty evident. At future tournaments, FIFA hopes hundreds of millions of television viewers worldwide will get a more respectful view of women at games. Fans harassing female broadcasters while they worked accounted for about 30 cases out of an approximate 300 incidents of sexism on the streets, reported to FIFA by the Fair Network. Jesus Christ, Europe! It's okay to show hot chicks on television, and on YouTube for that matter. I mean, I put them in my videos all the time and the people love it. And now that I think of it, there are some SJW retards who do call me sexist for it too, but that's just special snowflake nonsense. It's usually some ugly girl who's jelly of the hotter ones getting attention, let's be honest. And the only reason FIFA is trying to show less hotties is because they've gone full PC, full social justice warrior, much like how the whole continent of Europe has become cucked. In the end, you're gonna like the results of that England-Croatia match I mentioned earlier. As the fans who watched yesterday already know, England has lost to Croatia in overtime, and I have to say, this puts a pretty big smile on my face. This is obviously the Trump curse striking England, who also had these big elaborate plans to protest Trump this week, at the same time as the World Cup, like what we went over in my last video. And now, England loses and gets booted from the World Cup at the same time as the protests? Fucking priceless. Man, I love this. This is London getting its comeuppance for crossing us, and for crossing Trump. We've already seen this happen with a number of others, and even some athletes too, like when Olympic skier Lindsey Vonn trash-talked Trump earlier this year. Then she promptly lost her races shortly after that, and even went into retirement, poor thing. And now, well, it looks like England is facing the same Trump curse. This also could be payback for the Brits selling out their country's heritage too. Remember when I showed you that pic of their team that had a questionable amount of black and browns in it, especially for England? Well, that definitely didn't represent England of the past, but maybe that's what they've become today. We already saw they have a brown mayor in London who hates America, of course, and they're letting in more and more migrants every day. So this is actually the fate Britain has chosen for itself. But I don't think they're gonna like the eventual outcome. The white guilt-ridden British people of the past are getting replaced, and much like their football team today, England is going to lose again, over and over again, because of all this. What do you guys think about the World Cup? Is it too white, or was that just the natural progression of the best teams playing and winning the games? And what do you think about them banning attractive women from TV broadcasts? And what about England losing because of the Trump curse? Comment your thoughts on everything below, and thanks for watching No Bullshit. See y'all next time.